first glance, Xavi Hernández did not look like the footballer who should control an entire match. He was not the fastest, strongest, tallest, or most explosive player on the pitch. He did not fly past defenders like a winger, and he did not bully opponents with power. In many moments, he looked almost ordinary small steps. Calm face, short passes, no panic. But that ordinary appearance was the disguise. In a highlight culture where speed and skill are often judged in seconds, Xavi's influence lived in the moments between the highlights. He did not always create the loudest scene, but he quietly controlled why the scene happened. While everyone else was rushing, Xavi was arranging the game. While opponents were pressing, chasing, and reacting, he was already preparing the next movement. He could receive the ball in the middle of pressure, take one touch, turn slightly, and suddenly the whole defensive shape would collapse. So the question is not why Xavi looked slow. The real question is how a player who looked slow dominated the fastest game in the world. The great misunderstanding about speed. Most people misunderstand speed in football. They think speed means sprinting acceleration and beating someone in a race. But at the elite level, there is another kind of speed, and it is even more dangerous. It is the speed of seeing. It is the speed of deciding. It is the speed of knowing where the ball should go. Before the ball even arrives, that was Xavi's world. He did not need to run faster than everyone because he understood the situation earlier than everyone. He was not playing catch-up. He was already 2 steps into the future. For casual viewers, Xavi's game sometimes looked too simple. A pass sideways, a pass backward, a short touch into midfield, but those small actions were not meaningless. They were the building blocks of control. He was not passing because he had no ideas. He was passing because he had the correct idea. That is why his greatness was easy to miss. The spectacular players gave you the explosion. Xavi gave you the reason the explosion became possible. When Messi scored, when a fullback overlapped, or when Barcelona suddenly entered the box, Xavi was often the hidden step before the danger. His value was not always in the final image. It was in the invisible setup, the game inside. Xavi's head. Xavi's greatest weapon was not his foot. It was the picture inside his head. Before the ball reached him, he was already collecting information. This habit came from years of training inside a culture that valued awareness as much as technique. He looked over his shoulder, checked the defender, scanned his teammates, adjusted his body, and prepared the next pass. These movements were quick, but they gave him a complete map of the pitch. Most players received the ball and then look for solutions. Xavi found the solution first and received the ball second. When pressure arrived, he was not surprised. When a defender stepped forward, he already knew what space had opened behind him. When a teammate moved between the lines, Xavi had already seen the angle. The pass looked easy because the hard work had already been done before the audience noticed anything. This is why he seemed so calm in crowded areas. He was not calm because the situation was easy. He was calm because he had prepared for the difficulty earlier. His brain reduced chaos into patterns. Where others saw bodies, pressure, and danger, Xavi saw routes, timing, and possibilities. He was not playing football. He was reading about football. Why Xavi looked slow? Xavi looked slow because he rarely wasted movement. Many players move quickly because they are trying to escape danger. Xavi moved less because he understood danger before it trapped him. He did not run to show effort. He moved when movement created an advantage. Sometimes he would take a tiny step away from pressure instead of sprinting into open space. Sometimes he would stand still for half a second, allowing an opponent to come closer. The moment the defender committed, the space appeared. Then Xavi passed, he invited pressure. Not because he was careless, but because pressure creates openings. If a defender moves toward the ball, he leaves something behind. Xavi saw that exchange instantly. He looked slow in the same way. A chess master looks slow before making a move. From the outside, it looks calm. Inside, thousands of options have already been tested. His body was relaxed because his mind was ahead. That is why opponents could not rush him. They were trying to speed him up, but Xavi was the one controlling the speed of the game. The Barcelona machine. To understand Xavi, you have to understand Barcelona at their peak. Under Pep Guardiola, possession was not comfort, it was a weapon. Barcelona used the ball to move opponents, stretch lines, create gaps, and control the rhythm of the match. At the center was Xavi. He was the metronome, the heartbeat, the player who decided when the game should pause, accelerate, or explode. Barcelona built triangles everywhere. One player had the ball, 2 created angles, and the opponent had to choose press block the lane or protect the space behind. Whatever they chose, Xavi had the answer. Against Manchester United in 2009 and 2011, Barcelona made world-class opponents play on their terms. The ball moved, the press disappeared, and United were forced to chase a rhythm they could not control. And Xavi conducted that rhythm. His pass was the instruction. His position was the message. The power of the simple pass. One of the biggest mistakes people make about Xavi is calling his passes easy. A 5-yard pass that breaks pressure, changes the direction, direction of play and gives a teammate time to turn is not easy. It is elite Xavi understood that danger does not always come from distance. Sometimes it comes from timing. Sometimes it comes from weight. Sometimes it comes from passing to the correct foot instead of the intended one. That is why his short passing was so destructive. He knew when to pass softly so the receiver could control the ball. He knew when to pass firmly so the move could continue quickly. He knew when to disguise direction with his hips. He knew when to play backward because backward was the only way to open forward. To impatient fans that might look safe, but safety was part of the trap. Barcelona could keep the ball, force the opponent to shift, then suddenly attack the weak point. Xavi's passes were not simple because they lacked ambition. They were simple because they removed the unnecessary. The simple pass is only simple after someone has made the difficult decision. Xavi made those decisions earlier than everyone. That is why his passing numbers never tell the full story. A completed pass can look the same in a statistic sheet, but on the pitch, two passes can be completely different. One pass can hide from pressure, another can invite pressure, break it, and create the next attack. Xavi specialized in the second kind, controlling opponents and the Spain blueprint. Great players control the ball. Xavi controlled the people around it. He did not simply react to opponents, he manipulated them by showing the ball, changing his body shape, or pausing for a moment. He made defenders move where he wanted. When they stepped out of position, he passed into the space they left behind. That was why Xavi was so difficult to defend. Press him, and he escaped. Give him time and he controlled the game. Follow him in space open for someone else. For Spain, Xavi brought the same control. During their golden era, Spain's football looked patient and calm, but its purpose was ruthless control. The ball and control the opponent. Pass after pass, Spain made teams chase, lose focus, and slowly lose belief. In the 2010 World Cup and Euro 2012, they did not only win matches, they removed the opponent's rhythm. To some viewers, Spain looked slow. To opponents, they felt exhausting. Xavi was the brain of that control. He made Spain calm, mature, and almost impossible to hurry. Modern lessons from Xavi. Football has changed, but Xavi's lessons are still alive. The modern game is faster, more physical, and more aggressive. Pressing is sharper, spaces are smaller, and midfielders have less time than ever. That is exactly why Xavi remains important. In a faster game, thinking early becomes priceless. You cannot escape every press with speed. At the highest level, you need information before the ball arrives. Calm body position and the courage to choose the simple pass when everyone else wants something dramatic. Xavi gave that blueprint scan before receiving. Open your body. Know the next pass. Move the opponent. Control the rhythm. Modern midfielders still study him because he showed that intelligence can make a whole team faster. When one player sees the game clearly, teammates receive better passes, attacks become cleaner, and pressure becomes easier to handle. Understanding players like Xavi is not just about watching football, it is about feeling the game. If you enjoy deep football stories like this, make sure to subscribe, because here we do not just talk about goals, we understand the mind behind the game.